That was not the only worthwhile message online this week. But before we get into that, I would like to frame this story with a modified Star Wars quote. Yoda once told Luke Skywalker, "Do or do not. There is no try." For the purpose of today's discussion, I would like to amend that to do or do not. There is no should. Now, by that, I am not claiming that morality doesn't exist, as in you should treat other people the way that you want to be treated. Of course, that is true. I am talking about should, as in the world should be this way, even though it is not. Humans should be wired like this, even though they are not. That kind of should doesn't exist. Being focused on whether or not things should be a certain way keeps you from ever getting to the part where you realize that because it's not the way that you think it should be, you have a choice to make. And that choice will be defined by reality, not by should. And no one can change that for you. That is why that realization is important. So no matter which side of the should aisle you come down on when it comes to this issue, just try to set that aside as the non-existent moot point that it is. And for once, look at what is as opposed to what you believe should be. Because that is what affects actual outcomes in a way that should simply does not. Making decisions based off of is instead of should is the only way that you will be able to live with the actual outcomes that you choose. Because if you choose them based off of should, you choose them based off of a reality that doesn't actually exist. With that said, we all know that Hollywood, feminist culture, and the media routinely try to deny a hard truth that was confirmed by a very unlikely source this week, an OnlyFans girl. One of the women who tragically commoditizes her body and sells it on the, sadly, popular porn site, finally told the truth in a video admitting that no high-value man will ever date an OnlyFans girl, a reality that she was fed lies about based off of should in a cruel act that leaves girls like her desperate, lonely, trapped, and crippled with anxiety. This brave post from Athena Paris, who has well over 1 million followers on social media, opened with a clip of the late Charlie Kirk explaining that men look so lowly on OnlyFans girls, to which Miss Paris added, "It's so true. As someone being in the OnlyFans industry for the last 3 years, I truly think that it's a give and exchange." She went on to point out that when you make a deal with the dark side, you might gain financial freedom, but in exchange, your love life suffers greatly. Ms. Paris said that she's been single for 4 years and admitted that she has never had one boyfriend while doing OnlyFans. Now, maybe that's not important to you, but I would point out that most people do not want to be alone. And no person is wired to be alone. We are a communal species. Next, you might argue that a man who would care about a woman being on OnlyFans is not a good man. In the same way that a woman who wants a man to be employed is not a good woman. Everyone has standards. You have them for others, and others have them for you. And no one wants to bring a porn star home to their mother. That is what is. Should does not exist. No one wants the mother of their future children to be someone in eternal internet porn videos that are going to get pulled up by cruel children to torment their kids later on. A man is not a bad person for thinking about those things just because you haven't thought about them, any more than a woman is a bad person for thinking about what kind of man contributes positive things to her life and what will only create more problems for her that she doesn't need to voluntarily create for herself. Ms. Paris said that men will sleep with her, but no one will go so far as to claim her as their girlfriend. She went on to admit that she has experienced true darkness since she started selling her body on this exploitative website. I say exploitative because it takes advantage of damaged women, feeds them lies about what this is going to do to their life, and then makes money off of that. And then she detailed the horrifying sexual abuse that she has suffered from men. In one instance, she says that she was actually raped. Warning, the darkness that you open yourself up to when you do something like this, it comes in depression and anxiety and isolation. It's all spiritual. Every high-value man that I have ever met, he has told me that he will never claim me. They will hook up with you. They will never claim you. They will never bring you home to their parents. I do agree that high-value men will look low on a woman who does OnlyFans. It makes you believe that you are an extremely low-value person and that you are not capable of loving because of the career choice that you have made. Over the past few weeks, Ms. Paris has posted several videos on social media about how she has started to read the Bible. In one video, she said that she was abused as a child and strongly believes that empty and easily exploited girls get into this industry because they are looking for self-worth, something that is historically, statistically true of women involved in pornography. And it's just ironic that they will actually destroy any remaining self-worth on the path to trying to find it, saying it's some sort of abuse that happened in childhood, whether it's sexual abuse, whether it's physical abuse, it's some sort of lack of unconditional love that you receive when you're a child. And when that manifests and you continue to have these experiences, you get older, and in your mind, you think that your sex is your value. Then she added this caption: the world promotes self, that we must be selfish. We must idolize ourselves. We must put our careers in front of relationships and families. But what does our soul crave? Community, family, unconditional love. Maybe that's why I've been so empty for so long. Too busy filling worldly needs rather than soul. As I read the Bible, I understand more of what our soul craves. And I would just like to add this. She is correct when she tells you in all honesty that a high-value man is not going to get involved in any serious sort of way with someone who turns themselves into a living sex doll and sells themselves as a commodity to the creepiest human beings on earth. If you put a low value on yourself, no one else is going to raise your price. When was the last time that you walked into a store and asked to pay more for a product? But, having said that, for the women who have already made a self-destructive choice, I want to tell you that that does not mean that it's all over for them. That is a lie that we all tell ourselves when we make mistakes, and we all have. The truth is that there are going to be consequences because no one has a magic wand. And one of those consequences, only one, is that it will take time to show quality men that that is not the person that you are anymore. It will take time for you to address the damage that led you down this path in the first place to become a high-quality mate yourself, and time to address the damage that you caused to yourself while you were on this path. But many decent men will be open to a relationship with you if they truly believe that that is not you anymore. That doesn't mean that all good men will be open to it, because they are still signing up to deal with problems that they had no choice in creating. And you cannot be angry at the people who don't voluntarily choose to do that to their lives in order to make you feel better. Choosing a mate is not an act of charity. It is a very serious thing that involves two people, a serious thing that has more impact on your life than any other choice does. But many people out there want to be seen as more than the sum of their mistakes, and so they are willing to treat others in that same way. It is important to say that. It is also important, having said that, to point out that that is not an invitation to do something that is very self-destructive now and repent later, because there is a cost, and nothing will change that cost. Good men are not easy to find, and you have just narrowed the field for yourself immensely. And on top of that, if your about face does not come across as sincere or profound because it was pre-planned and you went into this with your eyes wide open, that is not going to have the same effect as a person who actually changes and evolves into someone who is now unrecognizable from their former self. So, you should not go down this path if you haven't yet, because the costs are going to be very, very high. But if you have already gone down this path. That reality, that truth, does not mean that you might as well stay on this path because your options are gone forever. Your options are always going to be different from what they would have been, but given time and a true change, there will be worthwhile options available to you. Maybe not a plethora of them, but they will be out there. And you are not trapped in this, even though it very much feels that way. You believed the lie that got you into this. It is always easier to believe a lie than it is to believe the truth. I am telling you the truth right now, even if it does not sparkle in the same way that the lie did.